Hey everyone, my name is Alex Volkov. I'm an AI evangelist with Weights and Biases. I'm also the host of the ThursdAI weekly newsletter and podcast. And I don't drink coffee anymore for the past 6 months, but I do have caffeine. So this is my coffee basically, either yerba mate or just black tea. It's fairly easy to build something that looks like, oh yeah, I downloaded all my data from documentation. I built like a retrieval bot on top of this. I did chunking with LangChain or Llama Index, and I embedded this with this embedding, that embedding, whatever. And see, you ask it a thing and it works. It's fairly easy to get to that point. Here's a few very interestingly problematic points. First of all, you have to figure out what use case you're solving for actually. Whether or not you'll have users that will send you evaluations and say, hey, this works and doesn't work. Second of all, most people don't build in the even these things, not even to mention like storing everything to be able to run this again. Folks should have considered like build this in. If it's a Slack bot, build the buttons, whatever, store that information. It's very, very crucial for you to ask your users whether something worked or not. Third is educate your users into actually using those buttons, into actually saying what you need for which use case and whether or not it worked, because that'll be your data set going forward. Then, once you have this bot in production, so I just literally am comparing the mature bot that people actually work and we have users for, and kind of the build week projects that were cool. But here's kind of their next steps. Figuring out what happens with the data set when it changes. So everybody talks about RAG, but not a lot of people talk about ingestion pipeline. What happens when your documentation changes? It changes often, like SDKs change. We all know the problem with LLMs, where there's a cutoff line on knowledge and then it doesn't know everything above it, so you have to augment this with RAG. So the mature bot, the one bot, has an ingestion pipeline that runs automatically every week. And now we're getting into MLOps, right? Like you have to set this up. There's crons involved. There's like a bunch of stuff. And he, like the person, Barat, incredible. He gets a report of how much changed which ingestion. Because we have documentation, we have translations, we have GitHub code, we have a bunch of stuff that like this bot learns, and the more it learns, the more important it is to make sure that you keep up, because it's not only about hallucinations anymore at some point. It's also about not giving the right answer just because you didn't update your data set against what's actually running, especially when there's like multiple people in an organization. So ingestion pipeline is very interesting because nobody builds an ingestion pipeline when they just like hack on Llama Index.